First of all, I just want to let everyone know that we're with the man god of all man gods, Aaron himself. So, can you introduce yourself to our audience? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, starting from the beginning, military
Mhm.
training, how you got into fitness. Kind of walk us through that, a little
Yeah.
bit of background.
My name's Aaron Williamson. I'm a U.S. Marine veteran. I'm from Daytona Beach, Florida. And I, like most people these days, have come from a troubled childhood, meaning I didn't really have any direction. I got in a lot of trouble. When I say I got into trouble, it really started in about sixth grade. My parents got divorced. I got really depressed. It affected me in a really deep way. And I was getting my ass kicked by these kids at the school I went to. I went to this really shit middle school. This one day, coming out of my English class, I started getting pounded on, and it was that moment I started fighting back. And as a kid, you fight back, you end up in the wrong crowd. So seventh grade, I was in the wrong crowd of people. I was doing drugs. I was fighting. I overdosed on cocaine and speed. Almost died. Seventh grade. Kind of managed to make it through my younger years, and it wasn't until about my sophomore junior year of high school that I realized I needed to do something with my life because I'm going to be 18. What do I just live with my parents forever? And there was this kid I was friends with who was a linebacker on the football team. If you're familiar with WWE, Goldberg, the wrestler Goldberg,
Mm.
big traps, bald head. That's who he reminded me of. He's a guy you didn't want to get in front of. And he graduated and went in the Marine Corps. And when he came back, I was blown away by who he was because it was like two different people. That's what I wanted to be. I knew right then I was going to join the Marine Corps. And I started going to the recruiting station and started getting prepared for boot camp. Graduated boot camp a couple weeks later, landed on the yellow footprints of Paris Island, South Carolina. And that's when I knew I was in a different world because when you get off that bus, actually, you're still on the bus, and you get those drill instructors running on there, yelling at you, spitting in your face. I mean, you really don't know what way to look, how to think. I mean, you're second guessing the decision to even be there. But I knew that's exactly where I needed to be. And that's where this new journey began for me. I say this is where my first transformation began in 1998, Paris Island, South Carolina. So meritoriously promoted. I took so much pride in being a Marine. I learned all these things about myself that I never knew existed: leadership, courage, commitment, teamwork, loyalty. I just learned all these core values, which still live in me today. And I think that's a big reason why I've been able to have so much success. But I went through my Marine Corps career having really specific, unique duties. I was an infantry rifleman by MOS 0311. When I was deployed to Okinawa, Japan, my first sergeant and I were talking about the body bearers because he saw my love for fitness. In 1998, or 99, when I was deployed to Japan, that's where I fell in love with fitness. I say I got bit by the bug, and that's where my second transformation began. And I started really transforming my physique. I started really falling in love with fitness. I was reading the magazines. This was when Muscle Tech was big at the time, Cell Tech and Nitro Tech. I was reading the magazines, just everything. I was immersed in it. We got a hold of the body bearers in Washington D.C. They're the pallbearers for the Marine Corps, and it's a very small section that you have to be screened and selected to be a part of. And by the way, at this time I might be 180 pounds, and the average weight of a body bearer was about 240 to 250 pounds. We started this whole process of trying to get involved with it. I came back from my deployment. The body bearers came to Camp Lejeune, which is where I was, did the strength test. I failed it by a couple reps. You have to go through a specific strength test. And I just figured that I failed it. Oh well, time to move on. Let me go to squad leader school and just get back to the regular Marine Corps. I got called to the career monitor's office, and he said, "Hey, when do you want to take leave? You're going to DC." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So they accepted me to go up to the body bearer section in Washington D.C. to become a part of the body bearer section, and that's where my next transformation began. There's so many different iterations of me transforming over the years because I got there about 190 pounds and lived, ate, slept, breathed nothing but Marine Corps and fitness and carrying caskets. And I put on close to 70 pounds. I had 2 alarms set in the middle of the night that I would get up and eat. I ate around the clock. I would eat so much food in the chow hall, I would throw up. I was trying to stretch my stomach so I could just eat as many calories as I could possibly consume. What would end up happening from there is I became the section leader for the body bearers, which to me that was a very honorable thing, right? When I say my time with the body bearers was my most humble duty, I mean it. I was the pallbearer for my grandfather's funeral. I was a part of some very specific televised events. But at the end of the day, really every single time you go to Arlington National Cemetery to do a funeral, you are the last image a family is going to have of their loved one. When you're laying that person to rest, when you're carrying that casket to the hole, when you're raising it up for that final salute, and when you're presenting the flag to the family, you have to do it in a way that gives them as much honor as humanly possible, because you want the family to be proud of everything that they did and represented. So I went from there to the Pentagon, got screened and selected to do personal security for General Pace, who was at the time the vice chairman. He would become the chairman. Crazy amount of school that I had to go through with close personal protection, high-risk personnel, evasive driving, like just a lot of crazy training to be ready to be a part of his security detail. And that was really my last duty in the Marine Corps before I decided that I needed to get out and do something bigger than the Marine Corps, because I really started to have really high goals. That in the Marine Corps, you're government property, right? So you're essentially stuck under the guidelines of what you're allowed and not allowed to do. So I got out, went back overseas to Iraq, and stayed there for about 4 years doing some contract work. And it's not the contract work that most people would think of. It's a part of the war actually that you don't ever hear about because it was all classified. So instead of going over and being a shooter, doing Blackwater type stuff, I actually went over and was part of the identity management mission, which the identity management was all the biometrics. So iris scans, fingerprints, things like that. So you can take a latent fingerprint off of a bomb. Most people don't know this. So we were capturing a lot of bad guys over there who were making IEDs, who were killing our service members, who were trying to access our base. You can't fake biometrics. When you go to get on a base, you have to verify who you are by a fingerprint. So that was about 4 years of doing some of that type of work. And I decided to take a leap of faith to come back to the States for the first time as a civilian to actually be a part of society, because we were turning things over to the Iraqis and it was getting much more dangerous. I have a family back home. I wanted to be around my family. Took a leap of faith, moved to New Orleans, Louisiana, to actually do more contracting work for Marine Forces North. U.S. Northcom has component commands for each branch of service. The Marine Corps just happened to be in New Orleans. So got to New Orleans, the funding was cut. I lost everything I had, couldn't find work. My purpose was non-existent. I didn't know what to do now, because I went from just having structure to now trying to figure out what to do. No one's word means anything. You can't trust anyone anything says. No one knows how to read a veteran's resume. I was living in my car, contemplating going back overseas or contemplating killing myself. I had people around me who kept encouraging me to do the one thing that everyone always knew me for, which was fitness. So I got certified as a personal trainer and found a gym in uptown New Orleans that was 24 hours and started to train people in there. And within a few months, I met Zac Efron. He came in to do a movie about a Marine Iraq veteran. And that was my entrance into film and TV. So from that point, I realized that there was a potential opportunity there that I could really capitalize on, because what I had envisioned, no one else was doing there. So I met some people on the production crew. They would send me these reports every time a new production came into town. So I call it guerrilla warfare. I was just like pounding these production offices every week. I wanted everyone to know who I was. I was dropping off flyers. I was giving out free training sessions. Me and my weird food, I was making protein pancakes. I'd bring shit in and give them to people to try. And everyone remembered me. So I became the go-to guy for film and TV transformations in Hollywood South. Everything was going amazing. Started getting into acting and stunts. Moved to LA in 2015. My career was taking off. But what I realized was, being in LA, it's superficial, it's materialistic. If you've been in LA, people feel you out to see how you can help them. It's not really about true relationships and true friendships. It's all about positioning yourself to be better and using whatever means necessary. So 2020, everything was lined up to be my biggest year acting wise. So it was at that point I decided, you know what, I can get away from here because I'm confident enough in having this whole year lined up that I can move to Vegas, which I say is an athlete's paradise because of the gyms, and I'm still close enough to be in LA when I need to be there. So I moved to Vegas, and then COVID hit, and then the industry shut down, and everything I was a part of just vanished almost overnight. So now I'm in the position now of, all right, well, what's the next step? Because what it made me realize was up to that point, everything I had been doing was reliant on my work in Hollywood. And I never wanted to be in that position again. So I launched my own online coaching business and really started getting into the transformations and got into the human biology of understanding different aspects of health and fitness that I never really implemented before because I didn't know enough about, and started really making massive impact on people's lives, people with autoimmune disorders. Just across the board, I was having a lot of impact with people, with every person I was working with. So what I did was I met this guy named Rene Rodriguez, and him and I hit it off at this event in March of 2022 at a speaking event in Louisiana. He said, dude, you got an amazing story. I think I can help you tell it better, and maybe you can help me get in shape. So we started this relationship. It was working great. I was traveling with him. I was providing a health and fitness component to his coaching business. We went to this event with Brad Lee and Andy Elliott. That's where I met Andy. Andy and I talked, and he was like, dude, I've been looking for you. Come out to my office next week. So I drove out here, spent 2 days, and then moved here a month later.
Rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah, I mean, that's
a
kind of
crazy story.
It's a long story. It's kind of a Cliff Notes version because there's so much
much
detail.
in between.
Like there's so much that's really just touching on the main points of it. You know what I mean? But I say this has been a crazy journey, a wild ride, because there's so many times along the way that I just wanted to fucking give up. Like I got so tired of just hitting dead ends and hitting brick walls and meeting bad people and, you know, thinking that you're about to just finally pull yourself through, and then because of someone else's insecurity who has some type of power over you, they push you down. And I was always surrounded by the wrong people. So it's nice to be in a place like this where I'm surrounded by the right people, and I can use all my time that I spent in the Marine Corps that's built me into this person I am, and all my time in Hollywood to give me the street cred to showcase my abilities in transforming people on the biggest screen possible, that I can have the value and impact that I'm having now with the Elliott Group and the coaching business that we have here, we're helping people across, I mean, I say across the world, really. It's nice to be steeped in purpose, because without it, I don't do well. Like I'm not, like I say, I'm not materialistic or superficial by any means.
I'd like to dig into that a little bit. Do you think everyone has inborn potential that's untapped?
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, and I'd like to dig into a little bit of that mental toughness, or overcoming that, either an external voice like someone else, like you said, suppressing you because of their own insecurities, either one person or a multitude of people, and then you're buying into that lie. A lot of us, we buy into that lie, and then it becomes a voice in our head, and it's debilitating. You know, it's almost like you feel paralyzed sometimes in bed.
Yeah.
Maybe you're trying something and you keep falling short and you don't have the right support around. And I think there's a lot of people that are suffering from that right now. Is there a message in that? Like, can you give some words of encouragement, or how one might overcome that? Where I even deal with that. Even now, where in the morning, I've just gotten better at telling that voice to shut up and jump out of bed. How did you overcome adversity? Because that's what I'm hearing. It's like a multitude of stories of overcoming adversity and not allowing that voice to control you, and you broke through.
I say for me, it's really about understanding, like, what is your purpose in life? What are you here to do? It has to be something, because otherwise you're just existing. And for me, when I left Iraq, you know, I lost people who were close to me. And in my darkest times, when I wanted to give up, I thought about them. It just really made me go back to this point of, you know what, no matter how weak I get in the mind and want to give up, I have a responsibility to do something with my life, because I'm here. I'm healthy. I've got all my limbs. I have the potential to have massive impact, and I can do it in the name of these people who aren't able to have that opportunity. I like to think that we all have the potential to do something amazing. It's just about believing in yourself enough. And I think that's really why most of us aren't where we can be, because our belief system is so warped by what we're conditioned and we're programmed to believe in society today. And then on top of that, there's so much confliction on the internet with when you're searching for things. It's like, well, this coach says this, but this coach says to do this, which conflict with each other. Or I read this article and then I read this one and they conflict with each other. It's like, I don't know what to do and where to start. You can make an excuse for anything. Your mind will justify absolutely anything. If you don't want to go to the gym today, you'll justify it by saying, you know what, I'll go tomorrow morning. And you can be so motivated the night before you go to bed, only to wake up when the alarm goes off and that motivation is gone. It's cold, you're comfortable. You think about your coffee, you can give yourself an extra 15 minutes in bed. Like, we're in the pursuit of comfort as a society today. And until we start to look at things differently, you're just going to continue to get lazier and fatter and unhealthier and weaker in the mind. And this is what I thrive off of, right? Because when people say they want to look like me, and I'm like, I can literally give you every single detail to do what I do, and I guarantee you won't do it. Will you get up at 3:30 every morning? Will you train like you're trying to kill yourself? Will you train like someone kidnapped your family and the only way that you can get them back is to get through that hour and a half of just complete torture? Put yourself in positions where you force yourself to be strong mentally. And in doing that, you're going to start to build that belief system and that confidence and that courage. So, in the gym when you're training, your body adapts to stimulus. Without it, it doesn't adapt because there's nothing to adapt to. You only adapt to things that force you to remove yourself from your comfort zone. As with training and eating, it's all super simple, but we overcomplicate it because we're always looking for the quick fix and we're looking for the easy road. And if it is easy, it's probably not going to anywhere good, right?
How big of an impact did the military training have on your mental toughness?
It was everything, dude. Without it, I don't know who I would be today, because I was this broken ass kid who didn't know anything. And when I got into boot camp, there was something about the structure and the challenge of doing things that were hard that I just thrived off of. And I love doing those hard things even to this day, because you can feel yourself grow. You can feel yourself get mentally stronger. You can feel yourself get physically stronger. In the Marine Corps specifically, we're all about improvising, adapting, and overcoming. Hence the motto that you hear about in the Marine Corps: improvise, adapt, overcome.
Right.
You get put in these positions where your resources are so limited that you have to figure out how to make use of what you have to accomplish the mission in a way that everyone stays alive, everyone stays healthy, everyone comes out on top. You know what I mean? The Marine Corps was an amazing place to learn mental fortitude, because you go through so much hard stuff. When you have the different tiers of the service, the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, the Marine Corps, we're always on the bottom. We get all the shit. You have to make use of all the stuff that you get, which makes us, in my mind, so elite, because you've got to take garbage and create diamonds out of it.
So when you're working out, do you listen to anything motivational? I do.
Yeah.
To tune out the noise, I listen to motivational videos. Do you do that?
Yeah. So when I was homeless, when I was living in my car, before it became a popular thing, these YouTube motivational videos, audio type thing, like, I remember finding them, and I would I would listen to them, and it would keep my mind engaged enough to, even though I don't have anything, I don't have anyone around, like, I have, let me go work out. Like, I can take everything I'm going through right now and dump it into the weights. And I don't know anyone who goes into the gym in a bad mood who leaves in a bad mood. It's like the gym is medicine, fitness is medicine, movement is medicine. It's like mental food for me to digest, because while I'm training, I'm able to put the journey to the forefront of my mind and use it to get through the training, right? I think about my family, I think about my friends, I think about everything I've accomplished, I think about the shitstorm that I'm facing right now and how I'm going to get through it. I listen to some of the weirdest stuff. I mean, honestly, I can listen to spa music and train, really, because it's like I tune my mind into this really tranquil place that nothing else exists. That's why when I'm in the gym, I'm never on my phone. Hence, back to the new fitness division we're building right now that I'll talk about later. But yeah,
no phones in the new fitness division, right?
it's massively important. We have to disconnect at some point because we're just always connected.
Yeah, I've noticed at the commercial gym, I go to Lifetime Fitness, which is like really bougie. It's a brand new one where I live. It's like $100 million gym. It's beautiful, but it's got a very social aspect to it. You know, people are talking, they're having a good time. You know, it's very casual. There's not as much grit going on.
Yeah.
You see that. It's more common. Everyone's dolled up from head to toe. They do all their glam before they get there. It's that kind of, that's like the new generation of fitness at this point, right?
Yeah,
It's very polished.
the first gym I ever went to was this gym in Daytona Beach called East Coast Gym. You walked in, it smelled like, you know, dirty underwear, armpit, and shit. You know what I mean? But when you went in there, you knew you were going to get dirty. Everyone in there was training hard. The music was loud. The equipment was just old school. There wasn't any of these new ergonomically friendly machine. Like, you just went in there and you got strong, and you transformed yourself. So those are the gyms I always seek. Like, I want to find those gyms where it brings me back to my roots, because if you put me in a Lifetime Fitness or these bougie gyms, they're not for me. I don't like the new equipment. I don't like the bright lights in there. I don't like the social atmosphere. Like, I want to go in and go dark. I want to go in there and inflict pain on myself. I want to go in there and have people question, like, what the fuck is this guy doing? That's the culture that I grew up in with the gym and fitness. You went in there to transform. You were in there for a reason.
So if someone's just getting started, if they're in their room, and they had enough, they want to just get started, like, where do they start? Like, what's the first step? If somebody's just kind of, you know what, I'm done, I'm sick of it. Like, what do you recommend? Because like you said, there's so much information. You go on YouTube, you Google it, it's like, where do you even start? Like, do you recommend that someone just goes in there and just starts with like the compound movements and just sort of
they don't even have to start in the gym, honestly. And I say this is the process of elimination. Start with your food first. Start with your food and start with walking. Get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, drink some water, not coffee, or some electrolytes, or some lemon water, or something good. And then go for a 30-minute walk. I guarantee you go on that 30-minute walk, your brain's going to light up and you're going to think creatively. You're going to think about all these things that you can't think about sitting on a couch or laying in bed. So now you're getting all these new ideas flowing. You're feeling good because you got the endorphins, and then you go home and you eat something good. Eat some whole eggs, eat some yogurt, eat some berries. So start eliminating the things in your nutrition right now that you know are not good. And when I say are not good, because if you're putting a donut to your mouth, or one of these 1,000-calorie lattes or whatever it is that people drink these days, like, that's not good. When you put something to your lips to eat or drink, you've got to ask yourself the question of, is this going to make me better, or is this going to make me worse? Will it serve me or steal from me? Like, frame everything that you're doing in a way that you can start to put your health first. But it all starts with nutrition and movement. And then once you start putting those things together, you'll feel better, to where going into the gym is going to feel a little more comfortable, because you have a little more energy now. You're not walking in there feeling like a sloth.
And do you think when it comes to clean eating or diet or eating well, you think there's a lot of misinformation in that category as well? I think we live in a very carb-centric and sugar-centric world that's disguised, isn't it? Everything in a bag, you got to be super careful. Even if you're in a restaurant, you don't know what the hell they put in it, and it's like, it's a lot, right? How does someone even start? Like, I know for me, I had a bad habit. I've been better for the past almost 100 days, and I had a bad morning habit that I replaced with non-fat Greek yogurt and almond butter. That worked for me. And I was always worried that I was going to feel depleted, but I know that it was bad programming I had. I was like, oh, I'm going to be drained when I go to the gym. I'm going to be weak. And it was like this conversation I had in my head. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way. I need fuel. I need my stuff. And they just sort of train themselves that way. So like, what should one do? What do you recommend if they're worried about fuel and they're getting into their workout in the morning? I mean, should it be protein before they go to the gym, or you don't recommend eating before they go to the gym?
Well, it's all goal dependent. Like, what is the goal? Build muscle, or are you trying to put weight on, or are you trying to take weight off? Because you can train fasted. You know what I mean? Like, you can go in the gym and not eat anything. There's some finesse to doing that. You want to drink some electrolytes, maybe get some amino acids or something, that way you feel like you have a little substance. When you're getting into the gym, I think it's important to focus on the nutrition first, because most of us are so inflamed, like there's so much inflammation in our bodies right now, that it actually does affect your, even your physical movement, because your body's essentially toxic. It's like when when I'm putting someone on a nutrition program, I call the first couple weeks like the detox phase, and it has nothing to do with any silly teas or whatever society tells you a detox is. A true detox is eating clean, whole, nutritious food, because your body will detox itself by getting everything that it needs, and in doing that, it's going to get rid of all the stuff that it doesn't need or want in the body anymore. You're not putting anything in the body that's going to keep that inflammation there. Like if I eat for a day really bad and I get inflammation, if I have a massage, like even my massage therapist can tell, just because like everything's just different, right? So the more clean you are, the more it affects your skin and your muscles and your brain, your cognitive function, your digestion, your bowel movements, like everything. Focusing on like clean, whole, single ingredient foods, whole eggs, Greek yogurt, mixed berries. The amount of red meat I eat every day will blow your mind, and I've got the healthiest triglycerides you can possibly imagine. Clean, single, whole ingredient foods. If you just stay within that realm, if it's coming out of a box or a bag or a package or something, don't eat it. If you can detox yourself within the first couple weeks by just eating those clean foods, salmon, chicken, beef, potatoes, veggies, fruits, like just eat the things that you know are good. I guarantee you're going to feel different. Your brain's going to feel different. You're going to think differently. And then when you get into the gym, you're going to feel different than if you would going in there still feeling like kind of, inflamed.
Can you take us into a little bit of a day in the life of Aaron? Like, what does your day look like? When do you wake up? What's your process? Let's hear it.
So if I had an ideal day where I'm not traveling, then I would, I get up at 3:30 every day regardless. My days that I sleep in, maybe my off training days, I'll get up at 5. So 3:30, get up. My first meal is about 4 to 4:15. I'm in the gym by 6 to train, and then here to the office to work. And when I get here to the office to work, I have no idea what task is going to come at me. I just know right now my day to day is rebuilding the fitness division. So it's intensive programming that I'm working with the media team on, and really trying to create something special for everyone. But I have alarms set on my phone every 3 hours to eat. And after I eat at least 3 meals, I do 10-minute walks after the meals, which I've got a treadmill in my office, so it makes it a lot easier. And then the gym is right here, so I might come in the afternoon and do some type of stretching or some type of cardio. This is an ideal day, right? Which it doesn't exist a whole lot. I would say I'll get to bed around 9 or 10. But it's just a day of going from task, like get up, train, eat, work, eat, work, eat, work. And this is again, when it comes back to really trying to hone your body and create a physique that you ultimately want, you have to understand the importance of food. I think throughout this whole interview here, I keep harping on food, because food is literally the foundation to everything. Without proper nutrition, nothing you want to have from a physique and health perspective is going to be what you want it to be, until you put massive focus on what you're putting into your body. So that's the typical day. But we travel. Like I got here with Andy and Jackie in July or end of June, which literally I moved here. I think it was I moved here on a Thursday. I unloaded everything into the house on a Friday, and then boom, Saturday we were in Mexico. And it started off with a bang. So we've been traveling every single week. When we travel, when we're on the road, we have a guy here, Gourmet's Meals, who ships our food. So it's like wherever we're going, we know where our food's going to be. We have our food prepped and ready to roll. There's no excuse. So again, back to food.
So can we talk about the meal prep a little bit?
Yeah.
You recommend that for everyone?
If you don't do some type of meal prep, whether it's making it yourself or going through a meal prep company, then you are setting yourself up for failure. Because if there's no food to eat, what are you going to eat? the most convenient thing you can grab. And typically that's not a healthy thing because
Cheez-Its, no.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's gonna be
Right?
some form of trash,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be
Or
from
Pringles.
yeah.
Barbecue Pringles on the plane, man.
It's funny you brought chips and whatever Cheez-Its or whatever, right? Because this is how powerful I can talk about food because I can have you eat the cleanest meal or the unhealthiest meal to the point where you're so full that you get so full it's like you can't breathe and you got to like unbutton this top button here, and then within 5 minutes I can give you a Dorito and eat one Dorito and you'll be ready to eat another meal. And this is
It's the
the
satiation on your tongue,
right.
basically. It kind of triggers you.
You have the receptor on your tongue that gives you the dopamine response. But this is where food scientists, these food companies hire food scientists to create these foods to get you addicted. And that's a perfect example of what happens is you can eat a perfectly good meal, and if you would have just stopped there, you would have been fine. But we always feel like we need a little something else, that little dessert, and then boom, you get the dopamine hit, and then you want more
You
of
want
it.
more.
Then you get more of it. So instead of having the
For me, it's the
500,
golden Oreos.
yeah,
But I've been laying off them since I've been eating clean.
instead of having the 500 calorie healthy meal that you should have had, now you just added on another 1,000 calories of junk. So you went from 500 to 1,500 calories of stuff.
So I think everybody's going to want you to take us back to Hollywood so we can hear some of those stories. So you're the guy like that they call when they need to do something quick, right? For an actor, for someone on set where they got to turn them around fast in time for a movie. Is that
Yeah.
my understanding?
Yeah, because Hollywood, like where I was in New Orleans, it's different than being in Los Angeles, right? LA, everyone's based in LA. They live there, they have trainers there, they have their structure, routine there. And then from there they launch to wherever they're filming. And then they go back. And then they go film and then they go back. So they have a home base. Me, I'm in a transient location, right? Because the film industry is always going to follow the tax credit. New Orleans was booming at the time because of the tax credit. So that's why there were so many films and TV shows coming there. And I just happened to create the right fitness approach there that made everyone want to train with me because I showed how effective and quick I could transform somebody. So when these actors or actresses would come in, it would be a discussion with either production or the actor to see, all right, well, is this a health thing or is this a transformation thing because you're going to be playing a character that needs to look a certain way by a certain date, which was usually what it was. 9 times out of 10, it was a month, 4 weeks.
It seems almost impossible, but I guess it's not, huh?
Well, it's where you have to have a real intense conversation with them and tell them, like, this isn't going to be easy. You came in here, you're behind. This is how much time we have to make this work. Every second you're with me, we have to make count. And then every second you're not with me, you have to have me on your shoulder, you have to have me in your ear, you have to have me there with you to make sure that you're staying on track to eat right. Because just because I know how to do what I do, I can't stay with you 24/7 to make sure that you're following every guideline that I'm putting in place for you. And this is where I fell more in the action genre because those guys and women are more in tune with that physical approach because they're doing the stunt training. They already have an idea or they have a familiarity of the gym and fitness. So they're a little easier to work with than someone who's coming in to do a love story who just is getting ready for a bedroom scene. Because then it's a little more difficult because they don't really understand intensity. And then when you try and push them to a limit and they feel pain, it's shocking to them. So I love working with the action genre, but at the same time, I love working with anyone who comes in and is willing to go all in because when they can see the results, and you have to be creative about your approach to the training too, right? Because fitness is just one component of an actor's day. They've got who knows how long of filming, right? They're going to have some type of specialty more than likely. Are they, do they play a piano or are they singers? Like some of these characters are so multifaceted that the fitness is just one piece, and then they go to their acting coach or their dialogue coach, and then they go to their piano coach or their violin coach, and then they have to go to rehearsals, and then they film, and so it's like there's multiple components of the day, and it's why it's important to make sure that you can keep them actively engaged in the training that you're going to do with them, but also make sure that it's effective, because if I get someone at the end of the day who comes in to train with me, they're 16 hours into the day, and now they have to take all this energy and really dump it into training. It's hard. I mean, it would be hard for even me. Helping them warm up into it, having some good dialogue to, like, get their mind into it, maybe have them listen to something to kind of put their mind into it. Just help frame them to get ready for what's to come, because here's the thing with fitness. When it comes to fitness, it doesn't feel good. It hurts. It's painful. It takes effort, energy. You have to bring yourself to a place that not many people want to go to. So having to do this at the very end of a day or at the beginning of a day when you're comfortable in bed and don't want to get out of bed, it's like there's a lot of nuance there. So anyway, that was a lot of ramble about it, but you have to be so creative with each individual actor, because every character they're playing is different. Whether it's Jamie Foxx for Django, or Josh Brolin for Old Boy, or Dwayne Johnson for G.I. Joe Retaliation, like everyone's different, and their body styles, in terms of like what injuries they have. With Jamie Foxx, talk about pressure, he had an injury. Well, if I was to hurt him training, production would shut down. So it's like you have this tremendous amount of pressure well, that's just in general anyway, but for any actor, it's like you have to make sure that you're taking care of them, because anything that happens to them, if they tear a muscle in the gym or if they do something to get them hurt, production is going to take a hit. And then it's on you, and then you're the guy that hurt the actor for the movie, and then everyone's out of a job for who knows how many months until they're healed. So there's like so many different pieces of being a trainer.
Yeah, it just depends on who you're working with. Can you take us through one of those transformation stories? Say Zac Efron as an example, since that was the first one.
Yeah, Zach was fun to work with because, well, one, we hit it off on the Lucky One. So him and his trainer came into the gym that I was training at. They saw my picture on the wall. It was kind of a Marine collage type deal, and he was playing a Marine Iraq veteran. So he wanted to talk to me, and we talked. He liked what I had to say. They brought me to set. I met the producer and director, and they were like, "We want you to teach him how to be a Marine, like how to walk like a Marine, talk like a Marine, do all the things a Marine would do." That was our first movie together. And then towards the end of the movie, his trainer left and went back to LA, and he stayed, and we got a couple weeks of training in together. My training style was completely different than what he's done before, and he liked the way I trained him. So we just kept it going for the following movies. And just even if we weren't together, we would do it by the phone. I would send him, we'd do update pictures. I'd send diets to him to, getting ready for certain scenes. Like, we were just very collaborative for several years. But for Zach, he likes to live the fitness lifestyle though, which isn't common for a lot of actors, because it's not their forte. So working with someone like Zach, where it's like he's rolling into a movie, Paperboy, like came back into Paperboy. We did a lot of, I would say, functional training. I hate using the word functional training because everything is functional, but more on the cardio-centric side, whereas Lucky One was more on the weightlifting side. So again, back to the modality of, all right, well, what does your character need to look like? And then we figure out the training approach based on that. And also how to eat, because do you need to lose weight or do you need to put weight on? There's really no iteration that I can explain of how that transformation went, because there were so many different ones. It's just a matter of like getting in the gym and going through the routines, like following the rep scheme, doing what I say. He does it all. Like Zach will do it all. Like J.K. Simmons, if I told him to eat half an almond, he would eat half an almond, which is why his transformation went so viral. You know what I mean? Josh Brolin for Old Boy, one of the greatest transformations you'll ever see, but also not the healthiest one, because it was so extreme, where we had to do something within 2 to 3 weeks that was comparable to what Tom Hanks did in Castaway that took most of the year, right? So understanding the science of nutrition and how to implement things in a way that you can help production with their budget and with their schedule, right? Because that's what it all falls down to is productions come into town and they have this budget and they have this much time and this is the schedule for it. All right, well, this is where you have to kind of backwards plan because there might be some transformations that are ongoing throughout the movie, which Josh was too for Old Boy.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Jackie and Andy's pre-air. Since they met you, their transformation story, like how have things changed with them, your relationship with them with respect to fitness from where they were and where they are now,
Yeah.
and where they're headed? How's that?
Yeah. So when I came here, Jackie and Andy pretty much fitness is kind of their part of their love language. It's like part of their thing together. Andy has a certain way of training, and Andy's is a meathead at heart. He's just like a big free weight guy who just loves to get in there and just train. He doesn't understand fitness the way he wants to, which is a big reason why he brought me here. So coming here and just understanding where they were at in fitness and hearing his goals and hearing Jackie's goals, I kind of separated them a little bit in terms of like Jackie needs more of this style of training to grow certain body parts that she wants, just like Andy, like to do the same for him, right? So most men and women have different goals training. So when you're training together, you're kind of sacrificing both of your goals a little bit. So really helping them create the right training approach to address the actual goals that they want. And then in doing that, helping them understand different form and technique and all the different angles and foot placement, because, when you get in the gym to train, it's a game of angles. I can put you on one machine and change the angle in 10 different ways and have it completely feel different every angle you move to. And then getting into the nutrition side of it, it was a shocker for Jackie because Jackie loves to, she doesn't eat unhealthy at all, but she just loves variety and she likes to cook. And Andy's like me. I mean, just give me some steak and rice and we're good. Detoxing them was huge because when I came in here and I put them on this really hard detox program to get out all the inflammation and then really start to create some structure to meals for them so they could start to understand macros in a way that you need this much protein, Jackie, you need this much protein, Andy. And when we put all that together, the first couple months here, I remember everyone around here was like, holy shit, like it's crazy the transformation that they've already, begun. And it happened so quick. And then we were trying to sustain that on the road, which, when you can understand the concept and the structure of a meal and what you should and should not be eating, it gives you a better idea of how to eat while you're on the road. Even if you're in the most unhealthy places, when you don't have access to maybe your meals or anything like that, you just will know what to look for, whether it's beef jerky or maybe some dried fruit or some yogurt. Like you kind of start to really develop this default menu in your head of knowing what to eat wherever you are, that you can pretty much get anywhere. And that's been a huge thing for them, is just to have that knowledge now of, one, there needs to be a different approach in training. So when I don't train with them now, they kind of offset each other. Andy gives in sometimes and will do some of what she wants and vice versa. But it's been really, really cool to see the transformation that they've went through since I've been here, but also the next iteration of the transformation that's going to happen this year is going to be even more intense because now we're into the real, I would say, the real building. Last year was more about getting all the right educational pieces in place and to have them understand the concept of everything that I'm about. To now they understand me and why I'm so obsessed with what I do and why every detail matters. And so it's going to be fun this year to see the next part of the transformation.
I bet. There was a transformation, and we'll end with this. There was a transformation earlier that you said that went viral. Can you walk us through that transformation and why it went viral and the details about that? From a Hollywood star?
Yeah, so J.K. Simmons is one of my closest friends in the industry, in the film and TV space. And he's in his 60s. When we did this transformation, everyone thought he was getting ready for Justice League. But really, he was just trying to see what he could do with his body. He's like, I want to see what I can do. So we really started to focus on nutrition. He's got a lot of injuries, a lot of ailments over the years of just all the stuff he's done. So training with him has always been very delicate because you have to make sure that you can train him in a way where he doesn't make his injuries worse or doesn't exacerbate anything that already exists, but still be able to create that stimulus for growth, right? For muscle growth and fat loss. And really, we got the nutrition dialed in now. And what worked for him was an intermittent fasting schedule. What was really cool about intermittent fasting is, and it was the first time I've really implemented in this way to get rid of inflammation. But what I found was a lot of these little ailments, these aches and pains, they actually went away. So what happened then was he was eating good, he was dropping a little bit of that water weight from inflammation. These aches and pains were going away, and then all of a sudden now we were able to train harder and do things he wasn't able to do before. So the nutrition part was extremely important to us in what we were doing for that transformation. If you Google J.K. Simmons, Aaron Williamson, or Google Jim Gordon, GYM Gordon, because that's what the viral hashtag was, you'll be able to see the photo that I'm talking about. But it's him. We were doing this bicep exercise, and he was curling dumbbells. And there's a thing called the arm blaster, and you kind of put it around your neck, and you tuck your arms against it. Well, when you put your arms against it, it pushes everything out on your arms, and they look twice the size. So a lot of people don't, they just look at the picture and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah, they're like, wow.
But I mean, what I will say is he was in the best shape he's ever been in. And to this day, they still talk about the transformation. And this was back in 2016. It's went viral worldwide twice. And he's been able to get different roles that he probably would have never gotten before if he had not, if people would have not have seen him like that. What's the movie with Chris Pratt? The Tomorrow War was one that he got specifically because of that look. The director had that image in his head when that script was written. That was the first person that came to mind because of the director remembered that look that he had. So that was a really cool moment, you know what I mean? And to have someone as established as J.K. Simmons was really cool to kind of be a part of that. And by the way, if most people don't know, he's the yellow M&M.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, if you ever hear the yellow M&M talk, that's him.
That's him, huh?
Mm.
That's pretty cool. I love that. And it does sound like you do promote and do think that some form of reward system within reason is important.
Yeah.
So like on Friday every week I get to have my cheat meal, right? And it's one meal instead of a whole day or a weekend or whatever, right?
It's really about changing your view of food.
Right.
Because food should be meant to nourish the body. Food is something that helps sustain life. Food is something that you use to have a goal, whether you're trying to lose weight or build muscle. But we're in a society right now where we're in such a comfort, reward-based everything that food has just become another thing that we feel like it should always be the way we want it to taste, and it should be all the time. And what happens in that is now we're the joke of the world. I mean, our medical advancements are so amazing. We have more gyms and fitness facilities than ever. We have, supplement companies and healthy places to eat more than ever, but yet we just keep getting fatter. What we're spraying our crops with and spraying our foods, our vegetables, our grains, like everything's being sprayed with, all these chemicals and herbicides, pesticides, like all these things, and we're ingesting all them. And us ingesting them, a lot of that toxicity just kind of lives in our body. And the more obese you are, the more fat you are, a lot of that garbage can just kind of get stored in there. And it's almost like, having a, dripping faucet where you're just leaking toxicity into your body all day long. So, at the end of the day, like when you think about food in general, it has to start off with just eating whole, clean foods. Just doing that, you're going to be able to get away with eating so much more of when you do go to eat your cheat meal, it's not going to have the same effect if you're eating a cheat meal all day every day. Whether a company is organic or non-organic, or you know the better your health is in just eating single ingredient clean foods, even if it's not organic, you're still going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
What makes everything bad, like let's just say you underuse salt, you're going to overuse sugar. Like there's all these little things, like if one thing's off, something else is going to be high. If you're eating packaged stuff, if you get up in the morning and drink a coffee and eat a donut, I guarantee the rest of your day of eating is going to be horrible. Guarantee it. But if you get up in the morning and go for a walk and eat some whole eggs and yogurt, I guarantee the rest of your day is going to be set up much better. You're going to feel more satiated and you're going to want to eat the right things. The way you start your day will dictate the rest of your day.
Should you eat within a certain time after working out, like within 30 minutes or does that matter?
It doesn't really matter. I mean, at one time there was this thing called the golden hour, where it's like within an hour you have to, like, it's when you have to get everything in. But as long as you're eating something within a reasonable time frame after you train, if again, back to being goal, like everything is goal oriented, right? If you're trying to lose weight, I wouldn't say it's as much of an issue as if you're trying to gain weight. Because if you're trying to gain weight, then yeah, I would say you want to try and hurry up and eat something as soon as you can after, because the sooner you can eat after you work out, the sooner you can eat your next meal.
Well, I just want to thank Aaron, the man God himself, the man God of all man gods, Mr. Williamson. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. We appreciate your time. You spent close to 2 hours with us. We're so grateful. I'm sure everyone's excited to hear all this information that you had to share with us. I mean, I'm overwhelmed with all of it. I'm downloading it now and like processing and thinking about how I can apply it to my own life. And it's just so informative, and we appreciate you giving of yourself so freely, and we're forever grateful. So thank you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate you.
Guys.
Thanks. How much can you bench?
I don't bench.